Hello, everyone, and welcome to Divide and Conquer. We're named as such because of our intent. What is our intent? Well, hopefully you know by now, but if you don't, well, we are a group of sport and performance consultants and contractors here at Fort Polk, Louisiana, and we also fall under the Army Resilience Directorate, which you can find them on Facebook and Twitter at Army Resilience. So each episode we pose a question or issue related to resilience and or performance enhancement that we as a group will conquer through our individual answers. Who is we? Well, I am Diego, and here with me I have
Morgan.
And Jess.
So between all three of us, you'll find pretty quickly our perspectives and stances are often divided. We hope you enjoy our take on today's question, which is, how do you all think superstition plays a role in performance?
Thank you, Kelsey Tomes, for that lovely question that was posted on Facebook.
Thank you.
We would love more of those questions, so keep them coming. Okay, so how is superstition, repeat it for me?
How does superstition play a role?
Impact performance or play a part in performance?
Yes.
I could just keep rewording it, I suppose. All the same. Okay.
Yeah, I think we're getting at the same thing. Like, how does it influence, impact, play a role in performance?
Synonyms.
Cinnamon, yes.
I think one of the initial stories or examples that comes to mind is, I believe it was Kurt Schilling. He's a baseball player for the Red Sox, or used to be. Definitely not playing anymore. And I believe this was the World Series. Now, ask me the date or the year. I have no idea. But he played with, like, a bloody sock for a while, and he refused to go out of the game because he was throwing so well that he didn't want to change because it was like, oh, clearly my foot's injured. Like, there's some cut, there's something going on there. However, I am unwilling to change anything because it will impact the flow that I'm in right now. And I think you see that in plenty of other players, whether it's I have my routine that I go through that I have to do at the plate or at the free throw line. I have to wear these certain socks with these shoes. I have to, call my mom before the game, every game, whatever it is. And for me, I think the obvious understanding of that would be we just like to have some stability. And so superstition is more about the stability of it. So I feel good. I feel stable. I feel comfortable and confident when I have control over these things, even if it's just a sock and shoe duo combination that you like.
Bloody sock.
A bloody sock that you prefer. Whatever it is. Then it provides some sort of stability amongst a very unstable environment, which is sports as we know it and performance as we know it.
I'm going to have to say I agree with basically everything you said. For me, one of the clearest examples that I can think of, again, this is for me. So my favorite team is Arsenal. I don't know if I've mentioned that before on the podcast, but one of their strikers, his name's Alexandre Lacazette. I should say that correctly. For better or worse now. He's known for going through some goal droughts. So whenever he was scoring, he had these blue Nikes that he would wear. And whenever he first started going a few games without scoring, you would see him revert back to going to those blue Nikes. Because, I don't know if either of you or anyone else out there knows that if you are a pretty high-profile player with one of the big brands, Nike, Puma, Adidas, whatever, you have to wear the latest colorway. There might be some punitive things with that. So it's like a big deal that someone goes back to like an older color of the same shoe or even a different model, whatever it might be. That's why like that gets picked up and people pick up on those things. And this is my interpretation of the situation. I think he would use the shoe, as how Jess mentioned earlier, as some type of stability within the chaotic world that is professional soccer in England. So if he's able to Maybe it's a comfort thing. Maybe it's like a security blanket, or maybe it's some of the positive emotions I just described by using those same shoes. Maybe he felt that if he had all of that, he could replicate his goal scoring record, not record, but the same, just scoring in general back into his game.
Actually, before Morgan, you jump in, that reminds me of Tiger Woods every Sunday wears red. And I wonder if that is superstitious for him, or if it's just he's now known for it, or if it actually provides him some sort of mindset that he gets into or uses the red in a way of superstition, like, oh, when I wear this on Sunday, it provides me the extra, like, oomph, if you will, that gets me to play at my best. Or if he kind of gets into this alter ego, if you will, of on Sundays I wear red, and red is like rage, and I'm going to just rage against this 18 holes that I have to play and a potential playoff or whatever if we get to that. But that everybody, and maybe even for the other players looking at us like, oh, Tiger, he's wearing his red today. Like, we're going to get it. So,
Better watch out.
Better watch out.
Also, Morgan's wearing a red mask right now. So.
And Morgan is wearing her red mask. So that's maybe what triggered in my brain of Tiger Woods. So I don't know if he used it that way, but that kind of goes to potentially the same thing of maybe because when he won his first, not just tournament, but title, or I'm trying to think of the name of the major. Gosh, as if I didn't play golf my entire life. When he won his first major, I'm wondering if he happened to wear red, and that's what triggered, oh, I'm always going to wear red. So superstition from there. I would have to go back and do research on that, but my brain went towards Tiger Woods.
I don't know if it plays a role in the superstition, but I think I heard that he wears red because his mom told him it was his power color. So I think it might be like, this is my power color. I wear this on Sundays. So like that alter ego, like power. Tiger, if you're listening.
Call in.
Let us know what you think.
Let us know, so we're not just
We're
talking.
curious.
Shout out Tiger Woods. And all Tigers in the world, for that matter.
The superstitious athlete that I am most familiar with is Rafa Nadal. Now, even him, I'm not that familiar. My best friend in grad school she was a tennis player, and that was her favorite tennis player. So we would always watch Rafa, but she would always point out his superstitions and like making sure the label of the water bottle is matched. He picks a wedgie right before he serves, like to like that significant of a.
He tucks his hair, doesn't he?
I think so. Like just has a weird string of, weird to me. It's not weird to him, obviously, but weird to me watching this string of superstition. And yes, I think it impacts someone's mindset. It's like routines we know focuses us into the moment. It's almost a cue, a trigger to, hey, this is the mindset that I'm in. This is where I need to play at my best. Stable for us. We get to control part of the environment. I think the downside of superstitions is confidence. So when I succeed, do I attribute my success to my superstition? Like, this is why I succeeded, unless it was my ability and my skill level that allowed me to perform and win or succeed in this moment. So I think there can be overall, like in the moment, sure, superstition might help us get into a mindset, but overall, in my opinion, it's a detriment to performance if we attribute our successes or our failures to something like a water label. I didn't pick my wedgie. I didn't wear a certain color. So I think it can be good in the moment, but overall detrimental for someone's performance.
I was about to ask, like, what the difference and if there should be a distinction made between superstition and routines, because I think a lot of people use those words interchangeably, or at least to mean the same thing. It's just me. I think there should be a distinction between the two. And like Morgan, you just read my mind.
Well, I think routines are something that we obviously have complete control over, and superstition is something that is controlling us to a degree. And so there's the controllability aspect of that would be different. I think even to Morgan's point of, you may fall into a trap of, if we believe superstition is against us, we hear a lot of like, oh, the curse of the Bambino kind of in baseball, or we hear, I remember it was last year, gosh, what's his name? Oh, Kirk Cousins. I kept thinking about Kurt, and I was like, that's not his name. Kirk Cousins from the Vikings. He's their quarterback, and they kept talking about how he has some curse on him because whenever he plays primetime on Monday night, like, he has the worst games ever. And they just kept bringing it up. It's like, well, does he think that? You know, like, is there even really a curse? Granted, he may be understanding that a lot more people potentially are watching him because it's the only game on right now, and so the added pressure, but there's certainly no curse on him. Then again, the Saints 2 years in a row had the curse of just a bad call, even though it wasn't, right? Like, we like to blame things that we could say, oh, we have a curse against us, we have superstition is against us, whatever, but there's so many things that can be attributing to and contributing to leading up to that moment where, yeah, the ref made a bad call, but how many other calls did they get right or went our way, especially throughout the whole season? So to think in that moment, oh, we have this obvious curse, we're not going to make it, just seems silly when you think about it.
It'd be interesting to look at the data and the actual quality of his games, because we know that it on primetime Mondays, you said? Primetime football. I don't know. I'm sorry.
Welcome to primetime.
Gosh. Because we know that if we have a belief about something, then the evidence that we see in the world, the stuff that sticks to us is going to be something that validates our belief, and we ignore something that contradicts the belief.
I can answer that for you. He actually did have numbers that were terrible on Monday nights, and he hadn't won. And I'm trying to remember if last year he actually did win on Monday night or if he continued to lose. I'm pretty sure he played the Saints, and I'm pretty sure he won that game. I know in the playoffs, but I want to say whatever game it was, I think he actually did win. Maybe he didn't. And then, but regardless, he had terrible numbers coming into that game, which is why they kept talking about it. It's like, well, Monday he just literally just drops this huge cliff off of where he typically performs, and they kept just calling it like this curse of Monday Night Football for him. He just can't seem to perform when all the lights are on him on Monday night, even though it's just a different night. He's same game, just a different night.
I just go back to how debilitating a superstition like that could be then. So if I'm that athlete and I believe, hey, there's this curse that I can't perform in this moment, then like I have that thought that I can't perform, and we know that thoughts drive our responses. So my response isn't going to be not to perform. My body is not going to follow something different than what my mind is telling me. So you're digging your own hole there. So then there I go back to superstitions are detrimental to performance in the sense of if that's what I'm attributing my success or failure to, then I have no role to play in my own success or my own failure, and therefore it's detrimental.
Yeah, and it can become a negative feedback loop that is very unproductive, and you start saying the same things over and over again. So, and then you just attribute even more to the superstition.
I'd be interested to know, where does superstition like this happen in military or soldier life?
That's a good question.
I wish we had a green suitor.
If only.
Shameless plug there.
If only.
If only. So if you're listening and you're a green suitor, please let us know.
We'd love to have you on a future episode, or even just provide your thoughts on any of the previous episodes as well.
Yeah, or even like put your thoughts in a comment below, whether you're on YouTube or Facebook, and we'll bring it up next time. I'd just be curious to know that.
For sure.
We should start putting out feedback, part of our feedback forms, like weird questions. The next question you might see if you come through one of our courses on feedback is, where do you interact with superstitions?
Perfect.
And how likely are you to appear in a podcast?
Can we use your thoughts, yes or no? I don't know if that's actually going to happen. We'll see, though.
It'd be funny.
That would be interesting. Coming back to sports, though, I always find it interesting when, as a fan, I don't do this as much. One of my best friends, he does it a lot more. We'll be watching like a Patriots game or something like that. It was last year when the Patriots won the Super Bowl, the last time, Tom Brady, when he got his sixth win.
No one cares.
That's the only football fact that I know. So, you're welcome, world. But anyways, we were watching one of the games leading up to the Super Bowl, and when we got to this, then they won, obviously, because they made it to Super Bowl. And when we got to the Super Bowl, we had to sit in the exact same spots as what we were sitting in the last episode, in the last game. Shucks. Shucks. And he wore the exact same outfit, and then halfway through the game, they were winning. So obviously I put on a Patriots jersey, bandwagon fan here, shamelessly. And so I put on a Patriots shirt, and he goes, if they start losing, you have to change back to your old shirt. And I'm just like, that makes zero sense, because what I do in Leesville, Louisiana has no impact on how Tom Brady throws in New England, or wherever they are playing right now. So I think that's interesting when it comes to superstition as fans. It's like, I have to do the same thing because what I do matters.
Did you say we made it to the Super Bowl?
I have no idea. I have no idea if I said we made it to the Super Bowl. I am clearly not on the Patriots team. Although that would be really interesting for me to try and throw a football, because just so you know, world, I can't throw very well.
I think that should be our next podcast, is a video podcast whereby we force Morgan to throw a football through a tire.
I was golfing this weekend, and I was really, sometimes when I hit 4 poor shots in a row, I either give up on the hole for now, or I'll just throw the ball and I'll hit it from wherever I throw it. And I picked up the ball to throw it, and it went through the tree and onto the ground. And the gentleman I was golfing with just dies laughing, and I'm like, why are you laughing? Because I'm frustrated at this point. If I'm throwing my ball, I'm a little frustrated, and he just starts laughing. I was like, why are you laughing? And he goes, that was a horrible throw through a tree in the branches, and it landed below the tree. So it did not set me up for success on the flip side.
Now we know that you don't have hand-eye coordination and shouldn't play anything requiring throwing. Got it. Okay. I think it is interesting if we do things at home that, yes, the team, in fact, cannot see. So wearing the same outfit, sitting in the same seats is bizarre. It's more for us, right? And again, I think that goes back to that stability piece of we like to feel a particular way. And we do create these real beliefs. When I sat here, when I wear this color combination, I'm helping my team out for whatever reason. But I think when you go to the actual stadium or field or whatever playing arena they're at, and if you've ever seen, at least I know in football, in the fourth quarter, if you are down and you do a rally cap, right, you turn your hat inside out and you wear that, and it's a visual sign though too for the players of look at all of our fans. They've got the rally caps on. We're holding up, the number 4 in our hands, fourth quarter, we're changing this thing around, we're going to complete maybe mindset shift. But I also don't know, right? I don't know if we would count that as superstition, when I put the rally cap on, or if it's just more of a mantra of we have to shift gears here. We have to kick it into gear. We're doing this. So I can see in person where some of those things might be beneficial for the team, the players to see, just a visual cue of the fans are in it with us. But at home, yeah, that makes no sense at all. But I love it. I'm the first one to do the same thing. I wore this jersey last time. I sat in this seat. I was eating this food. I'm doing it again. It was enjoyable. We won. Why not? Why not?
That reminds me of, I don't know if you've all seen Malcolm in the Middle.
I have not.
Okay. Well, Hal, who is the father, he's the same main character in Breaking Bad, if anyone wants a reference point, I guess.
Shout out Ryan.
Yeah, shout out Ryan.
Dr. Ryan.
Dr. Ryan
Dr.
Hawkins.
Ryan Hawkins. So Hal takes the kids to the bowling alley, and Hal fancies himself a good bowler. So he just, goes on his own and starts playing a game by himself. And eventually he's noticing that he's actually getting strikes. So no one has gotten a perfect game at that bowling alley, and he eventually changes his mindset to, I'm gonna get a perfect game. And he took note of all of the little intricate sort of ritualistic things he was doing. I think one of them was he took a sip of his like soda and he would do the thing. He would say gesundheit every time, even if there was no one who was actually sneezing. And he would like play with his jacket zipper, I think. And then he would finally go and throw the ball down the lane. You know, I'm not going to spoil the rest of the episode, but it worked decently. That's what came to my mind.
Since we're talking TV shows, How I Met Your Mother, I don't know if anybody watches that here, but there was an episode more recently that I watched, and it was talking about this one guy who caught a curse and they called him the Blitz. And every time he would leave a room, something amazing would happen when he would leave. So, like free things would happen, or something magical would happen literally when this one guy would just leave, because he ended up he would leave parties earlier. He would leave just a hangout time early. It's like, oh, it's time for bed. He would leave and like the most amazing night would happen. So that's what it reminds me of too. It literally, yeah, I was like, oh, the Blitz. And then the Blitz got transferred to someone else later on who ended up leaving early. They caught it, and it was just awesome. It's a great episode.
The Blitz. Well, now that we've gotten all of our thoughts out on this episode, we would definitely love to hear from you all. You can either comment on the Facebook post that this video will be shared through on Facebook, which you can find us on Facebook if you search R2 Performance Center Fort Polk. Just to remind you all, we're part of the Army Resilience Directorate, and you can find them at Army Resilience on Facebook and on Twitter. So if you have anything to share, either regarding this episode or if you have any questions that you would like us to answer in future episodes, please feel free to do so on YouTube as well. We definitely will be reading any and all comments that you all provide, and we definitely would appreciate it if you all would.
Thank you again, Kelsey.
Yeah, thanks, Kels.
Thanks, Kels. See you all next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Ew.